Indeed, we are back taking over for Smonk and Peaches. It'll be myself and Chief. You're watching OSL Season 6, Week 5, the final week of the group stages. So let's see what we have on the table. Our next battle is going to be Ancestor vs Tensei at 7:30 AEST, Set 1. Cenobite on Dead Dog Saloon, or My Deceased Friend's Bar, if you're translating from Thai. Set 2, Mastermind and Cold Tower 1, and a tiebreaker of Doctor on the Dead Sands. Lastly, the one that I won't be there for, but rather behind the scenes, reffing in spirit, it'll be Flatline vs Peony Dynasty at 9 p.m. Set 1, Ghoul on Suffocation Pit 1, Set 2, Mastermind on the Cold Tower 1, and a tiebreaker of Oni on the Cold Tower 1. We're on a home stretch here, Chief. This battle means something for both Tensei and Ancestor, but who do we think is going to take away the win?
Yeah, this match is unbelievably important. It will decide the fate of both of these teams. Whoever will go through in Group C is decided tonight, but there's a little bit more in stake than just Ancestor and Tensei's fate, but we'll get to that in just a second. We've obviously loaded into the Cenobite set. Ruin Undying, Pain Res, and Corrupt for Freya on the side of the killer. It's a pretty interesting build. This is a killer that you tend to not see a lot of regression on, but the additions of Ruin and Undying do mean you have a fair few boons in your back pocket. What we do see a lot from Cenobite is a lot of chase perks, actually. It's become quite popular to run 2, even 3 chase perks, no slowdown, and just play 4 stages off the bat, because the killer is so harmless, and main building, exactly where we see this first chase start, can lead to very long chases, considering the fact that your power is kind of unusable on a lot of the areas on DDS, and obviously your teleports are a little bit slow and don't assist you in catching up to these survivors as well. But Enlightened found at Shack. There's also a totem here that we've just spotted out, and Shack pallet will be gone for this first interaction. The chains are slowing us down so much. Holy, that might just be a tag, but no. We do have this chaining carriage pallet here to play around. Enlightened will break the chains and be able to greed this pallet nicely, playing to the long side now down to 4. The chain's coming out, but Freya can cancel and get this M1 tag for free before Enlightened's able to make it to this pallet. But a tag to main does secure his safety, and I think Freya, although committing this chase, might be in favor of leaving it soon, because once again, main building is such a strong resource, and now that we see the Vault come on through, no BAM to stop Enlighten from playing around that window still, although he's headed back towards 11 now, and with the chains coming out once more, forced to play the tile here, and unfortunately for the swing on Freya, it does not connect. We do have the long side of the pallet to continue to play around, but Enlighten's doing well here to just make sure he is not caught off by the movement of Freya, keeping control of the pallet. The chains finally connect, and that does mean Enlighten's fate is sealed. That's our first down of the trial, but 3 generators are pumping Hunter. I'm not too sure if Doomby or Orlando are actually doubling. That might be a double considering the speed it's moving at, and the Pain Res is about to interrupt it, so it's just too little, too late for our survivors at this point. And Freya, although the down did come in quite... That's the box as well, my word. Beautiful spot there from Freya, being able to interrupt all of our survivors that little bit extra with the chains. I think they're working Gallows together, Hunter, that double. It will pop just in time, as Freya cannot make it there before they pop.
Yeah, incredible start to the matchup here. That was a really good chase coming in from Enlightened, able to delay just long enough for that generator over at Gallows to pop, regardless of it being hit by Pain Resonance. But we do see the 2 split happening from there on out. We have left the hook entirely, so that's going to leave it just ready for somebody to grab underneath our killer's nose as we do take the chase here over towards 3. It's going to be Miracle right off the bat here. Just going to be dropping this Jungle Gym filler and playing it accordingly. Does actually win the vault there, and that's going to force Goddess Freya to break the pallet, and we do manage to get that totem done in the background. So both Undying and Ruin out of the trial. We only have Pain Resonance to our disposal for the later game, and this could prove to be problems later on. However, getting that first tag onto Miracle might even just leave this. No, we've opted to commit all the way over in D5. We get the pull last second as well, so we've let Enlighten just to sizzle on both sides, really, and, just take him off the grill as perfection, but we do manage to get that down onto Miracle here over at 5, and it will be the second stage of our trial. Things are still looking pretty in favor for our killer, regardless of the fact that these chases have lasted a fair bit, given the fact that it's a Cenobite set. And another Pain Resonance to us as well to slow the game down even more. But yeah, I would say that Freya is definitely still in control. Taking the chase here over at 5 turned out to be, not the worst thing in the world, obviously, because it did intercept those generators, like 6 being worked, and it's put them to a halt. So not able to really be progressing from here on out unless you're working main, which we do see up in the top corner as we do the box over at 11 as well. We don't give a damn about that. We're just going to let that be done in front of our face. We're happy to kind of secure the generator and the hook And we even were working 8 once upon a time as well, so it's just unfortunate that we're not able to continue freely. I mean, look at these gens here over at bottom. I do believe there's just 4 intact, all in a tight cluster. And it's just really nice for our killer to be able to traverse through to all of them and just maintain the pressure. Yeah, look at that. That's crazy. We have 5, 4, mid 6, and 8. So how do you like them apples? But Goddess Freya just going to be taking ground again here once more towards this eye filler pallet where we opted to greet it and just run straight back into the corner. And, you know, our ace, safe and sound Orlando, the captain of this team, Tensei, is just, you know, chilling over towards that carriage pallet. Goddess Freya happy to take the remaining stage, the second stage, onto Miracle to facilitate for a further closer tunnel out. We do see, I think, it's a... Yeah, no, he did. We do not have hands, and we do not have chains, so this is looking really awkward, but we do have a double in the background happening, which is going to pull it back to at least the 4K2. However, I would dare say Miracle needs to come off that damn hook.
Yeah, at this point, we do see, obviously, that Gen has popped for the double. Doomby and Enlightened left to be able to fend for themselves. They actually, Doomby, brother, is the man getting Enlightened Miracle Monk off of that hook, whilst Enlightened is having to sit pretty on another generator. Orlando as well, finally able to get back on his Gen at 8, now that he's not being pressured. But Monk needs to be careful now. We're going to get hit with our BT vaulting that window at main. This does give us a fair bit of distance to continue to play the RNG, and that's exactly what we've decided to do. We want to head over to 1. We have a drop down here, but this is kind of unsafe. Once you do drop down, we're not guaranteed to make it back around, and yeah, this is kind of the consequences of that decision. We didn't play to one of our stronger tiles, 2 or 4, maybe even towards 5, but no matter, Miracle exiting the trial at 1 generator as Orlando does finally pop that gen. The gen at 1 as well that we ran to was popped right under Freya's nose. So our survivors are still in a decent spot, being 4 stages down at 1 generator remaining, although having a tunnel out is a bit unexpected on this killer. This is a killer that doesn't really get to get a tunnel out most of the time, or if they do, that's kind of where the game is said and done. You get your tunnel out, the game is over, it's all 5 gens popping, and you got to play for something in the end game. But Freya's managed to do it a little bit early, and maybe that speaks to just the ping, right? We are SDA to OC, so it's about 100 ping between our killer and our survivors, and it does make these chases that little bit more difficult, and it's probably why Freya opted for as much regression as they do have, relying on our chains and just our M1 movement to be able to get these tags and downs. And speaking of which, Orlando barely able to avoid that tag, greeting the window quite nicely and can make it safely to this carriage pallet. And greets once again, beautiful stuff from the man on the day. He's managed to avoid 2 tags that were almost guaranteed. This could have been a very quick chase, but he's making the most of it. This will unfortunately be his guaranteed tag. The chain's unable to break off quick enough. And what's a boon for Freya is actually that this 3-gen is still on the map, but it's gone now. Enlightened in that locker. He's probably playing around head on, or at least forcing, so that way Doomby can escape freely. That's a fresh hook as Enlightened still in this locker, I want to point out, and Freya wants none of it, noting that getting Doomby or Orlando on the ground would be an extra fresh hook and potentially 7 stages instead of 6. We do find Orlando on the gate at 2. He is our desired chase as he ventures all the way to the backside of main. We know that he doesn't have much to play around here. The back of main is notoriously empty, whole, bold gaming, but for Freya now we get to head to the inside of main and try to cut Orlando off as he rotates towards 9. I think he's still upstairs just off of the sound we do here, but Freya's heading back towards the gate. Orlando stuck inside as we do see a reset coming out. Doomby and Enlightened are going to do their damnedest to protect their friend. If they are able to get everybody from this point out of the door, 4 stages is a good result for our survivors, and definitely I don't think Freya played too poorly to be able to say 4 is what they were deserving or expecting, and Orlando's down is probably securing the more likely and deserved 7 stages on their killer performances. We do see Orlando left behind by Doomby and Enlightened. 7 stages, 3 fresh. Like I said, pretty good result for the killer hunter.
Did see the likes of 5, mid 6, and 8 all in a cluster. And no, sorry, I think it was 4, 5, and mid 6, which was even more of a cluster. And it just got broken in front of our killer's face because we completely forgot to check on our gens. We spent all our time trying to go for that tag onto Orlando, not realizing that, hey, our survivors could be doubling that generator over at the furthest point into 5 corner. And it just ended up getting popped in front of his face, and he just lost it entirely. So hopefully we don't see anything like that this time around. Now, if we do get a look at our gen spread as we do spawn into the map, we are going to be utilizing that box as well. So knowing the box spawns, absolutely incredible stuff from Miracle here. It is quite similar. We do have that, natural 3-gen happening over at Backyard, but I'm not too sure if there's another one in the cluster to make it 4 gens to bring it back for the second time around. And as we do take this chase here over at 9. It's a really weak filler. It is going to spell a tag really early, and that's a nice chain coming in from the passive chains there, and it's mighty unfortunate for our ace. I think he gets hit through the pallet, and that's going to be Space 01 down very, very early on in the trial. It's close to basement as well, so I'm not too sure if we'll prioritize the basement hook, and we do, and there's nobody ready for the save. At least you don't see anybody ready for the save, and it's going to be the hook over towards that disrespect hook, or maybe we just play it safe and go for one of these sides. No, it is the disrespect one, and this is going to be really hard for the survivors to be working with. I mean, quite similar to a Huntress, you can just kind of put the pressure over in the middle of the map, use your chains to press those survivors off those generators, get tags if you end up getting a hook onto one of them and they're just unable to escape. So, I mean, Miracle in the very dominant spot. This is the kind of start you needed, and all in the meantime, while I was talking about having a good start to a matchup, this is just not the start that you currently need. Miracle, got to be getting that chain over at that main generator to momentarily stop our survivor from working it. We also still do have double ruin into effect, so as soon as we start pressing these serves off these gens, it's going to sacrifice so much, having to power through ruin once more. And we do manage to spot out a really poor stealth coming in from Freya, who's opted to use the corner pallet here over at 5. It does go down in Miracle's face, and he's going to be slapped on top of his head, and he's going to be running around that little shack building. Does take the vault one time over, and actually just delays a little bit longer with the distance he has been allocated, but with another chain there, no, we do make the slow vault, and Miracle just traversing back to the main, shack building here, doesn't want anybody to get the pull straight from him. He's saying, no, this is mine. Get out of here, get lost. Look, he's even blocking both points of entry from the shack. Does ultimately commit onto our Robin, and we get the first generator of the trial proccing in the background. That's the second stage onto Space 01. As we do follow up here over to the backside of 6, it could be potentially another down, but we have left it entirely, going back to the pool at hand here over at the basement. Getting a nice body block in from our ace here. Maybe we just take the tag, but the window's blocked because of crowd control still in effect. And this is the trade-off here from bringing one of those perks, those hex totems, since we haven't spent enough time. It's going to be Undying out of the game. So, crowd control and ruin still both healthy regardless of which one you wanted to break. It was always going to be Undying, taking the brunt of it. As per bringing in that Hex Totem build, it is going to be a Pain Resonance hook here over at main, and the tunnel out at 4 generators remaining.
I mean, I can't believe what we've just seen. Obviously, the pressure we applied onto Freya, forcing them towards 5 away from that unhook early, meant that we saw Space go second in basement, and then obviously Freya inevitably was able to get that save in the end, and crowd controlled the window, left Space to die without realizing what they had done, and unfortunately the man just couldn't make it around. The chain hunt connected in time, forcing him to die just before he made the pallet. And speaking of not making the pallet, here's Yuki doing the same. We managed to get the drop, but unfortunately Miracle there in time. We couldn't make the slow vault, and that's another hook. 4 stages, but 4 gens remaining. We're going to see a Pain Res onto Dagestan's gen as well, wherever that may be. We do hear main pretty highly progressed. I'm not too sure who's on it. I think it might have been Dagestan, considering we don't hear any injured Jake cries wherever Freya may be. They also need to be very careful now. Getting a quick down onto them could spell the end, but things that are also going to be very problematic is Miracle's knowledge of the box. He's already searching towards 5. It's close by. I'm pretty sure it's over at 6, just from... Yeah, there it is. It's just in the middle of the street at 6, and I think Miracle's going to stray just past it, unfortunately, unable to hear it. And for him, that's a little bit of a downside, but what's going to be a real positive is finding this injured survivor Freya here at 8, right on top of one of these generators, and we can get the down here swings through that. Oh my god. Yeah, that doesn't feel good, does it now, Freya? Unfortunately, that's another survivor on the ground, our 5th stage of the trial. 5 of 7 needed, and also another Pain Res, and once again, at 4 generators remain. Oh, not a Pain Res. We don't have any Pain Res over the 7 map. Unlucky, man. But no, that is 5 of 7 stages needed to win. Another hook onto Dagestan, and then anybody else from this point would secure our victory, or the death onto Freya, and then 1 more anywhere else is more than enough for Miracle to take this set, which I want to point out is Ancestor's pick. Sorry, Hunter, I've just looked at our schedule, right? Obviously, we have the schedules in our chat, so that way we can refer back to what's being played when, who picked what, and I can't help but notice that Cenobite says Cenobite on my deceased friend's bar.
Yes, there is actually context to that. So it's what translates from when you put obviously what they say in Thai into Google Translate. It comes up with my deceased friend's bar,
Oh
which is
god.
the translation from Tentong Saloon, which is what we were
Oh,
laughing at more in the intermission. I actually didn't even say it going into the matchups. I actually did refer it to that for the memes and
I
lols,
missed it.
but yeah, no, it was quite funny. However, following up into more recent events is going to be the chase onto Goddess Freya, who just does not make anything, does not make the carriage pallet after throwing that one over towards 8 to 9. So it's going to be the pickup there and another gen done in the trial. But no, I mean, we're just closer to death on the side of Goddess Freya. You know, God of Dagestan, the only one stealthing around the entire map, not being able to be found. And if we do look at the current scorecard, we have taken away this set. Yeah, I do believe that was our 7th stage 3 fresh. So, you know, the
I don't
first
know.
set already going to wait. Sorry, it's not. Oh, it's 6. No, it's
Tie,
6.
tie.
Tie condition. Sorry, I do apologize. I was looking in the wrong order, and the score hasn't actually updated quite yet. But it's you know what, it's looking extremely likely with 3 generators remaining. What would have to happen hypothetically in this scenario, if you are to take away the tie, is that everybody has to escape out of the door, and you get that one survivor off the hook, and all gen's done, and you have to have an absolutely crazy chase. And we've never seen anything like that happen in OSL. But there's a first time for everything, so I'm not gonna be the one to say, hey, this isn't possible and this is not doable. Let's see how the match pans out. So we're just gonna be traversing here over towards 11, looking for a stealth out. Very far away from our hook and very far away from our generators. We were thinking maybe there was some sort of a funny reset happening, but nothing. We are going to be getting the unhook from the basement, and it is going to be the injured survivor getting the pull if the HUD serves us correctly there. Go to Dagestan just sitting on a gen happily. We do manage to dodge the chains there just a little bit. Now Miracle is going to be able to make away from the shack again once more. Does take that loop there, does drop the pallet, and is going to buy himself just a little bit more distance to rotate back to the 3 side of the map here. He has everything to be working with within this vicinity, so maybe he can put on the jets and we can see an even better result happening. I do believe they're doubling that gen, so it's only going to pull it back to a 4K2 momentarily. However, the pallet does go down over at 1, and then in an unrealistic scenario and God's perfect world, what you would like to see here, if you're really wanting the survivors to take away this set, is them go for a 1-1 split on 2 different generators. This pro last.
Oh.
Okay, well, it's not going to happen now because he's gotten smited through the window. But he'd have to last just, you know, an extra, 100 seconds in chase, if that, and then just escape through the door. But we're not going to be seeing that today, unfortunately. I'm a little bit too optimistic for my own good. That's going to be him on the hook, slapped in front of main. And yeah, this is going to be Miracle taking away Ancestor's pick of Xenobites.
Yeah, I actually very quickly want to highlight Freya's pathing there in main building. That was very unique, and it nearly paid off in spades. It's a beautiful way to play from that back door back to the window, and something I had never personally thought of before, but definitely something I'm taking note of moving forward. But yeah, that is Miracle taking the set. That is his 8th stage collected now with Yuki on the ground. And Dagestan, the last man standing, been teleported to the box, being interrupted. I came indeed, my friend. Monk's definitely going to be happy with that result. You know, nah, cut that one. Cut that. But unfortunately, for Miracle, the swing through the pallet does not connect. He's going to have to last a little bit. You know what, Hunter? We're gonna have to censor this part of the stream. My fault, gang. Miracle, we'll have to see Dagestan last a bit longer in chase now. The chains are unable to connect just barely. We've overshot there just by a frame, and Dagestan will make his way to 1 now, making safely to the carriage pallet, which doesn't have a pallet actually, so we're not safe at all. But we do have a very weird chain POV bug that does mean Dagestan is able to avoid that as Miracle goes from a jump from the top rope. Man loves his basketball. We drove right onto the head of Dagestan, and unfortunately, I don't think we knew at all where the killer was, only the approaching doom of a terror radius, which has caught us off entirely, and that will secure Miracle's 4K Mori to end us off. And wow, what a incredible set. Honestly, that was...
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be seeing Tensei versus Ancestor again. Set 2, Mastermind on the courts tower 1. You just saw set 1, Cenobite, go to Tensei, which was an Ancestor's pick. Meaning, we're going to be seeing Tensei's killer straight off the bat, and oh my. I'm scared for this. This is going to be enlightened here on the Wesker. And we know what he's capable of. And as he does take his 2 dashes here towards the middle of the map, he is just going to be trying to see if he can spot out any cross rotation happening on the flanks of the map. Now, he hasn't... I don't think he's played in OSL for quite some time after his return. We did see him play in a few other leagues where he consistently got 4K1s and the likeness of low tier 4Ks within a set like this. So I definitely am confident in thinking he can do the same this time around. The survivors will definitely want to pull outs from this position because they've already lost their set. They have to redeem themselves. However, as I do say that, we are going to be taking the first chase fairly early after trying to stealth out the killer. It's going to be go to Dagestan thrown into a whole lot of nothing besides the tree. And now just has to make way with the distance he has at hand towards the 5 section of the map where we are getting very close to getting that follow-up down on the side of Enlightened. Going to be playing the mind games here, and some nice mind games they are to avoid the vision, and we do eventually catch out Dagestan off guard, but we've done the jiggy over the pallet. No, you should have vaulted, maybe. I don't know. It could have been a nasty hit because of the ping, and I'd know why he'd want to jiggy that pallet, anticipating that, yeah, Enlighten's just going to use his dash anyway, but I think we caught a glimpse of him just in the side of our eye. Go to Dagestan, that is, just bait out the pallet vault there, so very perceptive from Enlightened to get that down and actually also get the hook as well. So does manage to spot out the cross rotation from 2 survivors going in different points of the map, one towards 1 and one towards 2. We do manage to push off Luther Style as we do throw them into a whole lot of nothing. Again, they are currently infected, so this could be a really nasty looking flick here, and Enlightened getting a little too overzealous ambitious and does collide with the tree ultimately. And still continuing on the chase here over towards the middle of the map where the mind games are coming in, and hopefully we can get the stun, and we do. And an unsuccessful blind attempt there, so but Enlightened wants to tunnel out and he wants it quick, and I do not blame him for wanting so. It's not unconventional that the Wesker will typically go for a tunnel out very early on, and if he does get it before the first generator, I dare say this is going to be extremely problematic for Ancestor to be working with.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're going to get this second down quite quickly onto Dagestan. That's still at 5 gens remaining, but Space changing that fact. The hook will come in at 4, and Yuki still has a decent bit of progress on their gen, wherever it may be. We've managed to break up that top side 4 gen, which is obviously to our benefit. I see main 1 and 3, which is a deadly 3 gen to hold on to, despite the fact that, unfortunately, the gen at 3 is about to be interrupted. That's a kick with Brutal and Eruption to just prevent it from popping for another couple of seconds. What I wanted to point out very quickly, Hunter, was that main 1 and 3 is an unbelievable 3 gen. It's actually main 1 and 2, it's even better. It's probably the best set of gens you can have on this map, and very, very strong for the killer to hold basically indefinitely, especially considering the fact that the tiles here at 2 and 3 don't really chain together too well, and they're not too strong, but at least now, we're going to be able to potentially pop that gen at 3 for this chase. Dagestan has been FTP'd, meaning he does have 2 health states to play around, and Shaq, we do have the pallet still dropped, so some safety has been bought for us, and Lighten's playing quite greedily here, trying to get this bound around instead of breaking the pallet right off the bat, and that is 3 popping. Dagestan did not take a tag at Shaq, and the pallet is now gone as we venture towards 5. Passing away from the drop pallet gym, although Enlightened has cut us off from 4, so back to the pallet gym we have gone. Not too safe to be playing these check spots that we do see Dagestan holding, considering the fact that there is a fair bit of ping, and you know what, I think he's agreed with me. We've tried to jiggy, but it's not paid off at all. Enlightened's caught it out entirely, and that's the first tag onto him in this chase, and for 2 bounds at least, it does mean we get a fair bit of distance into the mid-map, and we do see Yuki coming on in to try and take a down, but the bounce will connect onto him. That's a grab. Exactly what Dagestan needs to be able to venture further into the top side, so Enlightened, rather than continuing his tunnel out, will just take a pain res and potentially head on back for him in a couple seconds. His pain res is probably going to hit this gen at 8, because another one of those top gens did pop. That's our gen at 1, but now Dagestan has made it all the way to the top side, the ideal location for him to be. He has all of the RNG here, as well as main to play around, whilst the survivors start cranking those gens on the bottom side, which are pretty split at this point, Hunter. Dagestan does have a fair bit of RNG left on this side, although I pointed out the tiles aren't the strongest. We're going to lose the 50 on the vault there at this tile at 2, and unfortunately, because of the ping, not make it around a second time. And that will be Dagestan exiting the trial at 2. 2 survivors in the trial still injured, Hunter, which is going to be a very big boon for Enlightened entering this 3v1. We could find Space or Yuki from this point and get another very quick down, hook them on the bottom side of the map, and just hold tightly onto our gens at this point. Considering the fact that I think this gen at 8 is the one at around 50%, and Luther is working away at another. So our progress is still good. Our survivors do have the potential to get both of these gens done and see out the door, but it will now rely on Yuki, who's zoned all the way at the backside of Shaq. It's considering the fact that both of these gens now have Eruption on them, and The bounds barely missing. Yuki will have to do his best to last here on out, Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. With only one health state to spare, I dare say they're going to be going down just after the vaulted in this pallet here over at 5. You do see the eruption proc onto our survivors working that 7 generator, so they are just kind of slamming it out. They're not really giving a worry in the world. Did go for a little bit of a crouch there and get hesitant momentarily. This is going to be another hook on a pain resonance, but we've already been pain resonance here, so maybe we get this gen done just in time. No, with the eruption done just beforehand, I think it was a little too far-fetched to overcommit this generator, so very nice stuff from the survivors to be perceptive of that fact and just try to haul us down to the top half of the map, where we do intercept this trade here over on the bottom side. Space 01 going to be on the floor now. No flashlight coming to save us that time around. It's going to be the hook onto the pain resonance, rather. And Enlightened in full control. The box seat of this match does have a chase now and a hook behind him, forcing Luther to actually commit this gen, but I don't think he can. I think he has to abandon it and go for the pull. And if we slug this and go you know what, the hook's right here. Why not just hook? And Luther has to get this pull now and does so, but now they have to go for a 2-2 split, and you're not going to be able to pick off the other survivor on the hook because they're dead. And now Enlightened going to be getting that tag onto Space 01. Luther's still uninjured at the moment, does have the likes of the pallet over at 6 to be working with and greets it so nicely. Mind Game's coming in, spells the tag through the ping, and we've been slapped in the backside, but, I mean, we're going to be able to make so much distance there towards the Ormond filler. Pallet goes down once more and wrapping around the long side, really have to put on the jets, but it's around the most progressed generator, so it's not really going to do us much justice, sorry, getting a little bit tongue twisted. Because we need, yeah, obviously the other generator, that we just kicked done, and, you know, looping around it is just, it's inefficient, and it's inconvenient, and with a down happening just shortly after, it's going to spell even more aggression on it, and I'm not too sure what Space 01 would be doing now. Mr. Spectator can get a quick flicker, and he is going and just slamming out Shackers. This is all he can do, but that's a pain resonance, and it's going to be denied, and this is looking extremely likely for the 4K2 as we do just closing the distance towards the shack building once more, looking around every nook and cranny, but we know we've already pre-left, and actually, have we? No, we just kind of stayed at the window there, and I thought we had actually made it all the way down into 5-4 even, and that's the DC coming in, and they're just getting the game up and away. They have not time around. We can see something fairly close, even though it's looking a little bit grim at the moment, needing to 4K3. You can still hold your head up and get a good result and have a good match all around. And that's what we're all about, you know, never giving up. The perseverance, the resilience you need to continue on throughout these matches can be brutal. It's the only thing you can really do is just stay positive. So if you're going to stay positive, what I would recommend doing in this instance is obviously going towards the expected result, which is 7 stages, and set that as the bar. If you're entirely not confident and you're just playing the match, going through the motions, you can at least get the expected result. That's best possible scenario. However, best possible scenario is to get aggressive, is to get sluggy, is to force the error, get some wacky ping hits, and get that 4K3, as we do see Goddess Freya here loading up. First chase of the match on anger himself, playing absolutely aggressive. It's just time and time again, you see this man on Survivor sets. He's the first in chase and the first to last longer than 1 minute and 30 seconds throughout the first chase. He gets crazy with it. He gets crazy with it. But that being said, Goddess Freya's picked up on that and has opted to divert the chase back onto Orlando, the captain. So, you know, you go from one strong survivor to the next, and it can be a wall full of hurt. We do greet the pallet, and we've stopped at it as well, getting a little bit hesitant. And now Freya still trying to close in that distance there, does vault the window and catches Orlando off guard, but does manage to throw the pallet to make safety here, does have the window to his disposal, but that will be the slap through, considering that it is 120 ping involved here. I mean, even off ping, I do believe you do not make that. However, Goddess Freya straight back on the case over towards 2. Still following up onto Orlando, who's made a pristine death location here over at corner 1 with nothing but a really long filler to be thrown. And we've gotten caught on the wrong side of that pallet, as we did run into the edge map there to try and bait out the kick. It was a little too quick with brutal strength to, you know, that whole build. I mean, even looking at the build, it is pretty stock standard. It is Corrupt Intervention, Eruption, and Pain Resonance sitting in a line with Brutal Strength, but getting some real Brutal Strength value there, being able to force Orlando in such a bad position over at the backside of main. And like clockwork, Freya is just going to Goddess Freya is going to be just going back to those gens, getting those kicks in, slowing the match down even more so as we do take the next chase onto Doomy, who is Tensei's new addition from last week, I do believe. Does get the pallet stun there and does make away with all kinds of distance. What an absolutely incredible use of the Shack pallet. But we've stopped at the 6 as well. As that one does go down, we are further facilitating for a chase into the guts of 7. But, I mean, well, we've opted to double back for some unknown reason. Maybe there's a generator being worked over at 8. I would assume that is the reason for not taking the chase there. But we do manage to vault the window again here. And we vaulted into the loving embrace of Goddess Freya, playing a little too preemptive. Really trying... Oh, my God. Was that a quick and quiet head-on into the locker there? Did my eyes catch that just now, just closely? It was, wasn't it?
Someone, yeah, it was Anger in that locker. He was right there to play to help Doomby get out of that situation. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off, and we also didn't see the save come out because it was a grab down. It's like a ridiculous timing on that save, and unfortunately, Anger just barely missed it. That's our second stage onto Doomby for as many gens popped in the trial. I want to point out Freya's 3-gen on the bottom side here that Doomby is right in the center of is very, very strong, but of course, a 3-gen is not enough to help us in this match. We need more. We actually need a 4K right here and now, and 2 stages on the board. We're going to need to do something incredible here. We see Anger very aggressively on this mid-gen. Unfortunately, the bounce cannot connect. Who put that hook there? And that does mean Anger can make it to this pallet mid-8. We're going to greet it quite nicely, get the drop quite safely, and Freya will opt to break it. We do have our bounds in hand. A hill is the only thing saving Anger from these bounds, and he is able to narrowly avoid it just by flaring on into that hill. And unfortunately for Doomby now, that does mean that he is spotted out at this pallet here at 9, gets a stun yet again, more smash hit value to make it to this window at 8. Freya with the bounds will vault right on after. The pallet in 8 is our last saving grace here. We greet it quite nicely. We play the inside. We get the drop. Anger is here to protect our friend. We've made it to the window, and unfortunately, Doomby has not made it in time. That's going to be our second pick right in front of a flashlight. The beam is not got the right angle, and that will be our 3rd gen popping for once again as many stages. The tie is already upon us at this point. This will be a pain res, at least our first of the trial. So whatever other gen progress we do have will be interrupted. Survivors both here playing quite aggressively. We knew that Anger was close by to protect our friend. I believe that was enlightened with the beam at 9 as well. Anger's on the inside of Shack, hasn't vaulted the window just yet, and Freya's caught onto it. We'll follow around. The fast vault comes on out. Maybe a double. No, we fake it. We head to the door. Freya's going to go for bounds once more, trying to get Anger injured, but he will head all the way to the mid-map now and be able to avoid those as Doomby's off that hook. Enlightened went for the reset, but Freya back on their tail. Exiting the trial, if Doomby is to exit the trial here at 2 generators, Freya is setting themselves up to be able to at least get a good result from this point. A tunnel out at this point is probably not going to lead to the 4K2. We need to do something. There's a minus 1.5 hook penalty.
Yeah?
Yeah. Ancestor have lost. Tensei... Oh, wait, no.
Just don't DC.
Just don't DC.
Just don't DC. If you want to DC, ask the ref's permission. Please. It's there in the rulebook. You know, without the referee's approval, DCs incur a penalty. And it's horrible, I know. But it's allowed if you just ask the referee. Therefore, this will be the set going to Tensei no matter what. However, I mean, as you look at the current situation at hand, you're getting another gen done anyway. There's 4 survivors still left in the trial. Be very surprised if these guys do not pop at least one more generator. Enlightened on one about 20% of the way done. We do see here somebody going for a spray, and I do believe that was Doomy, our Deathhook survivor, straight into a locker. Interesting. Game plays, I guess. But does manage to use the out front pallet here and die on top of it, where we can potentially get a pallet save if we are... Yeah, there we go. Bellissimo!
Everyone's
well
right
done.
here, actually.
Senor! Well, no, sorry. Claudette, Mrs. Claudette, with the WW pallet save. Does manage to get another one here on the side of Orlando as well. And we've bought all kinds of distance. Goddess Freya, straight back on the case. Another generator popping. Like I said, that's going to be the win to Tensei no matter what. 2-0. They're going to be going through the finals here, Chief.
Yeah, and that also means IMO will be heading through as well. Scarlet and Ancestor. I've once again getting very confused between IMO and Ancestor today. I don't know why, and that's a head-on to get get Doomby away from a potential tunnel out yet again. Although he was healthy, the reset did happen right in front of us. Our survivors are taking the mickey at this point. They've already won, like you said, Hunter, and for them now it's about having a bit of fun. Anger on the ground, Enlightened on 10 has been exposed by Eruption. Not exposed, that's the thing that actually happens in the game. His aura has been revealed to Freya, and Freya now hot on his tail as he actually gets the pull right in the face of Freya. The body blocks from Anger are beautiful. We're not going to be able to get a tag onto anyone just yet. The second bound will slap the man as he heads on over to the bottom side of the map. Enlightened forced away from his gen at 10, but I'm sure one of us can rotate it. As somebody's probably also sitting 1, can we get a flick around to see what Doomby's doing? I'm sure Doomby's over here. Surely. Doomby, my friend. Gangster. Oh, you're at 6, actually. You know what? Even better. You're further away from the killer's prying eyes at this point, but speaking of not being able to escape the killer right now, Anger and Orlando have been spotted out. Doomby finally spotted as well at this gen at 6. We're going to be able to get a Eruption on it. But once again, Hunter, situation is still dire for Freya. We have 4 stages, but they're split around. There is no... Someone's in that locker. Anger's in that locker. I'm almost certain Anger is in that locker. Can we see where Anger is? No, he's here. He's just Anger's everywhere at this point. You know what? He's exactly what they needed today. Mr. Everywhere has managed to protect his friends and also be able to get these gens popping to ensure that they were able to make it on through. But like I was saying, Hunter, people making it through. Of course, Tensei have secured their spot in the finals, but once again, they've elevated IMO back into 4th. Well, actually, I think they were in 3rd. They've dethroned them and put them in the 4th spot, but IMO could have ended up in 6th place if they were to lose here. So I mean, sorry, if Tensei were to lose, IMO would have ended up 6th. This is really confusing. This group has made not a lot of sense, and I don't even know what's going on with Scarlet, to be completely honest with you. There was a chance that they made it through anyways. I didn't work out the math, and we're spinning around at each other. Doomby somehow lived the throw, hasn't connected. Jewel Beetle has not done us any favors yet again. The bounds will not be able to connect unless we can do something magical. The slow vault will deny us our down. Freya's getting sick of it at this point. Orlando will make the window just in time because of finesse, and Enlightened will finally pop that gen at 10. Anger was in this locker all along. The FTP has happened onto Doomby. We really want this man to be safe, and now he's going to have to protect Orlando as we venture back to this pallet at main. He will not make the vault. Doomby has dodged out of the way, left our friend to die, and takes a tag for it as well. That's his punishment for not protecting Mr. Orlando, the captain, star of the show. And Anger now forced to play 50s on this side pallet. And Freya's gone for the hug. It hasn't paid off. Doomby's now here as well. We got to get him out the gate. I'm sure Enlightened's on that gate at 11. Anger will get slammed. Somehow not a throw. That's incredible. We're still trying to pick up Mr. Orlando, but it's not going to pay out in time. Anger and Orlando now on the ground. The pallet has been broken. No dumb tech can occur. The beamer not even in our hand. That's Enlightened all the way at 11. Finally grabbing Doomby as well. A tunnel out has finally happened. Boons to Freya as 2 survivors are still on the ground. Enlightened, the last man standing inside of main, and he's going to have to do his damnedest to see what he can recover from this position. Freya's going to play for a nice little flick, though, as we see both of our survivors on the ground are crawling slowly. One of them is Orlando. Anger seems to not care at all. We're just trying to split up and give Enlightened some options, but Freya tries to cut him off. The bounds haven't connected. That's going to be Orlando off his feet. The swing is blocked by Enlightened. He's going to be able to get Anger off the ground, but one of them will be right back on it. I'm not too sure why we've decided to go for the bounds. We've grabbed Enlightened, but could have definitely M1'd and played for the second there with our bounds. Instead, Freya will take the down, take the hook, and allow Orlando and Anger to exit the trial freely at this point. That's going to be 8 stages for Fresh if they are to exit the gate, but considering they're at the top of main and resetting, I don't think they're aiming to get out the gate just yet. They really want Enlightened off this hook, and Freya isn't aware. Freya is checking this gate just in case, and you know what? Them being spotted out at the top of main could spell some problems. Neither of them are balanced landing, so one of them could surely end up on the ground from this position if they aren't careful, but I think an early drop has occurred. Yeah, both of the survivors are on the ground now. Freya's once again in hot pursuit. Actually, Anger is still here. We do see the claws bleeding on the ground, and the bounds end their day. That's Anger on the shoulder of Freya and hooked now at 1. Although Enlightened has finally exited the hook and will be able to potentially exit the trial, but Freya's kind of... I think Freya's over it, man. I think Enlightened's slowly coming to the realization. Same with Orlando, that Freya's kind of just over it.
I want to go home, man. F this place. Come on, let's get the game. But, you know, he's just going to be protecting his last hook here for what seems to be the 8-stage game, Orlando.